We'll go ahead and get started. Thanks everybody for joining us today. My name is Emily Kaiser and I am the communications manager here at the Road Commission. And we are going to go over a presentation with you today about the Wiard Road resurfacing project we have coming up this summer. So I just have a little bit of introductions to do, a little housekeeping, and then I will turn it over to the project manager to talk about what work we will be doing. And then at the end, we will open it up to Q&A, and I'll provide instructions as to how to participate in Q&A when we get to that point. So first, to introduce our presenters today, we've got Michelle Ford, and she is the project manager for this project. She's one of our design and construction engineers here at the Road Commission. Her contact information is on the slide here. You don't have to furiously write it down, though. We do have it posted on the website, and we'll show it a couple times in the presentation. So I will show you on the website how you can find that as well towards the end of the presentation. We also have Matt Maxwell here, and he is our director of engineering. His contact information is here on the slide and also available on the website. Just a couple of housekeeping items. So as you may have heard, when we started here, the meeting audio and video is being recorded, and it'll be posted to wcroads.org in the next day or two. It'll also be posted to our YouTube channel, and I'll show you on the website where it'll be posted for the project page itself. As I mentioned, when we get to the Q&A portion, I will provide instructions as to how to virtually raise your hand to ask a question during the Q&A. And lastly, chat is enabled on this presentation and so on this meeting. So if you want to ask your question in chat, you're welcome to do that, and then I will read those out loud during the presentation, or I'm sorry, during the Q&A period of the meeting. With that, I will turn it over to Michelle to talk about our Wiard Road resurfacing project.
Thank you, Emily, and welcome to everybody who has joined us. So this is the Wiard Road resurfacing project. Emily, there you go. You can show us where we are. So it is going to be taking place between US 12 and I-94. It's actually going to be a little bit south of US 12 on southbound. We're going to start just south of Tyler Road, and then on the northbound side, it'll go up just north of Tyler Road. So this is separate from the US 12 project that is going on right now with the construction. So we're doing our best to stay out of that construction area, but this gives you a location of where we're going to be. Emily? So the work that we're going to do is, like I said, mostly between I-94 and Tyler Road. And for portions of it, we're going to mill off the asphalt pavement that's there, and we'll be putting new asphalt down. We're also in some portions closer to I-94. If you drive on southbound, you'll see that there is quite a bit of failed concrete down there. And so we're going to completely remove that concrete pavement, and then we'll put a base course down and asphalt on top of that to hopefully give you a smooth riding surface out to the extent of the Washtenaw County Road Commission jurisdiction. In addition, we're going to be installing a flashing beacon at the intersection of southbound Wiard Road and Tyler Road, and I'll have a little bit more detail on that later in the presentation. Emily? Let's go back one slide. Sorry about that. Matt, did you want to talk about anything about Wiard Road?
Yeah, certainly. Wiard Road's an important primary road. It's a north-south connector that ultimately is aged, and what we attempt to do with all of our projects is to extend the service life of the roadways. Very often we don't have the funds for reconstruction projects, so it's important to get, from a timings perspective, before the pavement gets in a worse condition, that we are able to do a project that will extend that service life. The milling and resurfacing, it's one of our methods to extend the service life is taking that top layer of asphalt off and repaving that top layer, and usually it extends the service life of between 7 to 10 years, and then we will likely be back as well to do preventive maintenance, chip seal and fog seal, which is very prevalent on our county primary roadways. So this project is being funded with federal funds, along with our Michigan Transportation Funds for a match. And ultimately, it was programmed several years ago. The timing certainly is being coordinated with the US 12 project just to the west. But ultimately, we feel like we aren't going to be too impactful, and we'll go over some of the details on maintenance of traffic here shortly. That's all I had. Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you, Matt. So Emily, you can go to the next slide. So I just have a few slides just with example construction pictures. So when we do a milled surface, we go in there with a big milling machine and they come in and they grind off. In this case, it's going to be 3 to 3.5 inches of asphalt. And since the road will be closed, you won't have to worry about driving on that milled surface. I know that some people are uncomfortable doing that, so we won't have to worry about it on this one. And next slide. And we're also, like I said, in some portions, we're going to be doing full concrete pavement removal. So they'll have to go in there and saw at the limits, and then they'll take all of it out as it shows here on the right. And then we'll put some aggregate base down, and then we'll top that with asphalt. So everything, whether it be concrete or asphalt coming off, all asphalt is going back. So next slide. And here's a picture of one of our paving crews from last year putting on the HMA pavement. Next. So in addition to that, like I mentioned, we're going to put a flashing beacon. So on the left, it shows, we'll have wood poles with the lights hanging between. This one will only have one light, and it shows on the right that it's going to be flashing red for Tyler, and it'll be flashing yellow for Wiard. Now, this does not change the present configuration at all. It's just kind of an alert to show drivers that there is an intersection there and they should be cautious as they're approaching Tyler. There's been some concerns. Wiard is a higher speed road that people go through and don't necessarily recognize that a car could be turning from Tyler. So this just gives them another visual aid to help with the safety of that intersection. But like I said, it won't stop anything on Wiard or change that traffic configuration. It just is a safety feature. Next. So our timeline right now, next slide, we are planning to close it as of August 9th. We wanted to make sure that we were not interfering with the air show that's going to be that previous weekend. And so we're waiting until that is finished. So right now the tentative date is August 9th. That is subject to change due to the contractor's schedule. We're going to close the road. I'll show you the detour in a minute. We're going to close it, and it's expected to last up to 4 weeks, weather permitting. And then it's possible, if we don't quite get everything done during that 4 weeks, such as the flasher or some pavement markings, that some work could be completed under lane restrictions after the road is reopened. We're hopeful that we'll get it all done during the closure, but once again, we are subject to contractor schedules, weather, all that good stuff that comes up during construction. Next. So this is just a visual of showing how we're going to close that road. So if you're coming southbound on Wiard Road, you will be able to come and make a right onto Tyler to get into the West Willow neighborhood. So hopefully that will not impact those residents too much. But then you won't be able to go any farther or get onto I-94 from there. And then coming off of I-94 westbound, you will not be able to make that exit. However, the roundabout right there at Airport Drive will remain open, so people can access the airport from US 12 as well. Next slide. So this shows our detour. So if you're on Wiard Road and you're coming southbound, you'll make the right on Tyler, then a quick left on McCartney Avenue. And since the only thing that you can do going southbound on Wiard at this point is get on to I-94, we're just going to take you down to that next exit using Grove. And so that isn't too bad of a detour. We think it shouldn't be bad. Now coming westbound, you'll have to get off at the Rawsonville exit rather than getting off at Wiard Road. Everything will be accessible from the east side. So we're hopeful that this won't be too impactful. We did our best to stay out of the construction on US 12 so that they'll be completely separate projects and not have to, get into the detours and such that are set up for that project. Next. And we are closing the road. And this we've been putting on almost all of our presentations this year because we have had some issues with people obeying the road close signs. And we do that for your safety, for worker safety, to expedite construction. Everything can be done so much faster if the road is actually closed, but it's also safer for everybody involved. And it's very tempting to go around those road close signs. But let me tell you, if we're taking out a whole set of concrete pavement and you go down into that, you will have damage to your car. We don't want anyone to have that, anyone to get stuck, any of that stuff. So please obey those road close signs. Those are for not only for vehicular traffic, it is also for bicycles. If we don't have a lot of bicycle traffic on there, but just in case, same thing for pedestrians. It's not a highly pedestrian corridor, but just in case someone's walking along there, it is for everyone. Please stay out of the work zone. Next. Okay, and that is it for me. Emily is going to show you how you can access our project page and get updates on the project.
Thanks, Michelle. Yeah, let me just get my screen share switched around here and I will show that exact thing. So let's see. All right, you should be able to see the website. Michelle, can you nod your head? Okay, great, thank you. So again, thanks everybody for joining us, and thanks Michelle for the information. You can find all this, and we will post a recording of today's meeting. We'll post the slides that we're sharing as well to the project page, so I can show you how you can get to that. The Road Commission's website is this wcroads.org, and this will take you to our homepage here. And if you scroll down, you can see that we've got latest roadwork updates, and we put out advisories ahead of road closures or lane restrictions, that kind of thing. You can also click here to explore our interactive project map. And so if you do that, that'll load this entire current projects page, this map, and you'll see all these different blue segments and the red dots all represent major projects that we have going on this year. So you can see it's been a busy construction season so far. If you go over, you can click here on Wiard Rd, and that is a PM job, a preventative maintenance job. And so if you click this more info, it'll open up the project page that has all this information on it. And this is again where we will post the recording of today's meeting, where we'll post the slides from today's meeting. We've got a little bit of the basic information here about the project. And then we also have Michelle's contact information. Under helpful links is where we'll post today's recording and the slides. We've got today's announcement, or we got the announcement about today's meeting. And then under here as well, we'll post updates throughout the project, throughout the closure, just to give you updates on how we are progressing through the project. If you would like to receive those updates via email, you can subscribe to receive project updates via email. You would just click this button here. It'll take you to our subscription page. You just would put your email address in here. If you want to receive updates about other things going on in Ypsilanti Township, you could. We do all sorts of, like I said, road advisories, lane restrictions, when we've got work coming up in a specific area. And then you would just mark down here, if you want to receive Wiard Road resurfacing updates, you would select that box here and hit subscribe. And then anytime we put an update out, we will send you an email with that information onto your, to your email address. So with that, let me get back to the presentation. Turn my video on, resume the share here. Okay, and with that, we will open it up for for Q&A. Let me get my screens all up here again. And so if you would like to make public comment, we'd ask that you either ask your question in chat, which you're welcome to do so, and then I'll read that out loud. Or if you would like to make a verbal public comment or ask a question verbally, you can join from your computer or smartphone by looking for the reactions button on your Zoom meeting and then select the raise hand button. And then I will unmute people one at a time with a raised hand. You may also see it under the participants button. It depends on which version of Zoom you have on your computer, but it'll either be there under reactions or under participants. If you have joined us today from your touch tone phone, you can dial *9 and that will virtually raise your hand. So it looks like, oh, we've got a question here from Mary in chat, and Mary's asking if there is another website for road projects in Michigan. I drive from Ypsi to the center line for work. Mary, there's a great website that MDOT puts out, which is in charge of all of the state highways like US 12, I-94, US 23. And I can show you that in a second, but it's called MI Drive. And they have a project map where you can find out basic information about projects going on. Elizabeth says, thank you. Thank you for joining us today, Elizabeth. Again, if you'd like to make or ask a question verbally, you can do that by looking for the reactions button at the bottom of your screen and then the raise hand button. And I'll unmute people one at a time, or you can always ask your question in chat. Michelle, we've had a couple people join us since we talked about the timeline. Do you want to talk a little bit about the timeline? And I'll try to find the My Drive map so I can send that in chat for our questioner.
Sure. So as I said before, our timeline right now is to close down the Wiard Road. Emily, can you go back to the, let's show the one with the detour. That's probably a good one to
Yep, give me 1 second here.
So we're looking at August 9th, because like I said, we were conscious of the air show that's going on the previous weekend, and we didn't want to be disruptive to that. So once it's closed, it should be closed up to 4 weeks. We're always going to be hopeful that we get it done before then, but up to 4 weeks is what the contractor has been contractually given. So, and then, like I said, this shows in the red the portions of the road that are actually closed, and then the green is the detour that we'll be signing for people to go. So hopefully it won't be too disruptive of a detour to people. All right, it looks like Emily put that.
Yeah, we've got, it's called My Drive, and I just put a link to the chat if you want to see other projects. Mary, you asked about any updates on 275 road construction. Unfortunately, we do not have any updates on that. That is again, that's an MDOT project. I don't even think that would be outside of Washtenaw County too. So the Washtenaw County Road Commission, which Michelle and I both work for, is only responsible for roads, for county roads that are in Washtenaw County. And so roads like I-94, like 275, those are owned and operated by the Michigan Department of Transportation. And so unfortunately, I don't have any updates. Hopefully it's going well, but I don't have any updates on the 275 project. Did you want to add something, Michelle?
I was just going to say, because I live right near 275, that I would, try Google or something. MDOT has a place where you can sign up for updates similar to we have for our project. So you could go ahead and do that to get information on it.
Thanks, Michelle. And then let's see, we've got Joanne has raised her hand. Joanne, you should be able to unmute yourself. Joanne is one of our road commissioners. Go ahead, Joanne.
Good morning. Yes, I had to step away for a minute, so you probably mentioned it about the blinking light. Is that going to be at Tyler and Wiard?
Yeah, let's go back to that slide. Michelle, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
You bet. If you can find that slide. So this slide here kind of explains what we're going to do. They're going to put up 2 wood poles. It's just a simple wire span across, and there'll be 1 light, and it's going to blink red to Tyler Road to stop that traffic. And then it will be yellow on Wiard. So it's not going to stop the traffic on Wiard, but it will be a visual cue to them that there's an intersection there and that they should be cautious, because there could be vehicles exiting the roadway at that point, exiting, I should say, onto Wiard from Tyler.
Right.
Tyler will still have their stop sign. So it really isn't changing anything, but it will, make it more visually aware, people will be able to see it a little easier.
Yes, I do like that light there. So there have been people that wanting a traffic light there back there. The only thing, you have so many people wanting the traffic light, and then you have so many people saying, why is there a traffic light there? Because I sit there and there's no traffic, so this seems like in the middle. And so I think this would really work well with people that want the traffic light and people that don't want the traffic light.
Right. And in order for us to put a full traffic signal that stops traffic, there are very specific warrants that have to be met. And this particular intersection doesn't meet those warrants. So like you said, this is kind of a happy medium. It does show that there's something there, but we're not stopping that traffic on Wiard. So I think it hopefully will be a good enhancement to the intersection.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne. Is there anybody else out there that has a question? I'll get back to our instructions here. Again, you can ask a question verbally by virtually raising your hand. You can look for either the reactions or the participants button on your Zoom meeting, and then you should see the raise hand button. And you can also, if you've joined us from your touchtone phone, you can dial *9 and that will virtually raise your hands. Or just like a few of you have, you can also ask your question or make a comment in the chat, and I will read that out to the group and we will answer those questions there. Is there anybody else that would like to ask a question? Oh, we've got one from E. Copeland. Go ahead, you should be able to unmute yourself now. Okay, go ahead with your question.
Okay, good morning, panel.
Good morning.
Frank Copeland, Fire Chief of Ypsilanti Township. I got to this meeting late, but at Tyler and Wiard Road, will you be able to make a left and go north, or do you have to go back around to the Michigan left turn and to go north from Tyler Road?
During construction, it will be closed. Once everything is complete, you'll have to do like you said. If you're coming from Wiard and you want to go northbound, you'll have to take a right onto Wiard and then make that Michigan left. There's a turnaround there currently, and we'll be resurfacing that as part of this project, and then you'll use that turnaround to go back north. So it will not cross over. You'll have to make the Michigan left.
Okay, so I'm understanding the Michigan left will be open during construction. If I needed to get on Tyler.
Wait, I'm sorry, Chief
Tyler
Copeland. Sorry, it will not be open, right, Michelle?
Not during construction. That's afterwards. So during construction, everything south of Tyler is closed. You would have to get on McCartney Ave to go south. If you want to go northbound from Tyler, you won't be able to go that way. You'll have to.
That's my question. I won't be able to go that way. Okay.
No, nope.
And I think Michelle had a good point. So we are not changing the configuration of this road during construction. We are simply resurfacing what's out there. So it'll look, the configuration will be the same once the road reopens. It's just that we are doing a resurfacing project. So any other questions, Chief?
No, that's it. That's fine.
Okay, thank you for joining us today. Is there anybody else out there that has a question? I've got the map up here again, just so you can see the detour and the closure area. Michelle, we are planning to start hopefully in August. Right now, the tentative start date is August 9th. But with all this rain that we've been having, our tentative start dates for paving projects have been all over the place. So hopefully Mother Nature cooperates and gives us some dry, nice paving weather in the next couple of weeks to help us all out. But is there anybody else that has a question? Yeah, is there anybody else?
I was going to say, because sometimes, you know, if we get to August 9th and it's beautiful and you say, why aren't you starting? Well, it could be because right now it's raining and it's delaying them and they need to get other things completed before they get to this one.
Yes, so. Our paving contractors have very tight schedules from about end of May through November. So there's a lot to try to pack in across not just our county, but multiple counties. So Matt or Michelle, it looks like we're all set. We've gotten through all of our questions, no more raised hands. Is there anything else you guys would like to add to the meeting before we make it short and sweet today?
Just thank you for your patience during construction.
Yes, thank you. And if you have a question during construction, I think Emily's going to have my contact information up there. Feel free to call me or email me, and I will do my best to answer your questions.
Thanks, Michelle. I'm going to put in the chat one more time as to, where you can find the project page. And if you go to that link, we've got Michelle's contact information there. We really encourage you to sign up to receive email updates. It's something that we try to provide some information, especially as we get closer to the start of construction and then also during construction. I think everybody likes to know what's going on and where we're at in the project. And so we do that through project email updates. We'll also post those to our website. So we appreciate everybody joining us. Oh, go ahead, Michelle.
I was just going to say one thing I just happened to think of as you're talking about as it gets closer to construction. We do have portable changeable message signs out there right now that we're advertising for today's meeting. And we'll be moving those around a little bit and updating those as it gets closer to construction as well. So there'll be dates on there to alert you when construction is getting closer.
Great. Thanks, Michelle. We'll also post an advisory before that closure on our website as well and send it out to anybody, again, who's subscribed to receive either Ypsilanti Township updates or project updates for that closure. So, all right. Well, I don't see any other hands raised, and we'll close it out just before 11:30. So we appreciate everybody coming today and appreciate your patience during construction. We hope you have a great rest of the day.